Hi guys, it's Andrew here from Eastonmade Wood Splitters, and welcome back to the channel. I am right here in the wood yard, and I have the cheapest, most effective, most brilliant insurance policy for your piece of equipment that you will ever see. And there's two types of people in this world. I've come to realize this. There's the guys that you're watching this and you already know what I've got in my hand. And then there's guys that have no idea what it is even after I show it to them. Right there, that is the cheapest insurance policy you will ever find for a machine. That is a tube of grease. That is a brilliant, wonderful thing. If you want a piece of equipment to last, to have longevity, to continue to operate and function as it should, that tube of grease is what's going to get you there. That thing costs absolutely peanuts. I think that's probably $4 or $5. It's a pretty inexpensive insurance policy. And probably thinking, well, why does that matter, Andrew? It doesn't. Why do I care? Well, there's a lot of machines on the market, both splitters and firewood processors, that you can't even utilize such a piece of equipment. You can't even utilize a tube of grease on them because there's no grease fittings. There's nowhere to put grease in them. There's places where you can put grease, or you should be able to put grease that you can't put grease. And there's places that you put grease that it's not going to matter because it's just a plasma cut hole. It's not a properly machined hole anyway, so it's just going to wear stuff out far more prematurely than what it needs to be. And I say that, guys, like when you do this, or like when you are building a piece of equipment from an engineering standpoint, from a mill rating standpoint, things need to be right. It's like wiping before you poop. Sure you wiped, but it was not effective. It didn't do what it's supposed to do. So I'm going to show you how we do it, why we do it, because there's some places where we don't use wear components, where we don't use that aren't greasable, but there's reasons for that, and there's reasons why we don't need to do that. So I'm going to show you a couple here, guys. So this is what we do for our machines. So this is, I think that's for a grab arm. I think that's for log clamp. I think that is for the saw pivot on an Evo, and that might be for log clamp. So you can see that there is actually a hardened bushing in each one of those holes. So that will not wear. The pin that goes inside of that is going to be softer than what that is, so the pin will wear. Why do you want the pin to wear? Well, because the pin's easy to change. If you need to put a new pin into something, it takes a couple of minutes. It's not like you need to get tools out, cut the bushing out, press a new one in. You're not gonna have to line board. Guys that have big equipment and know all about this stuff. But if you grease that stuff, if you can grease that, it's going to last even longer than that. Because what happens whenever you use lubrication, grease, oil, whatever you have there isn't physical contact between the pin and the bushing. It rides on that film of grease or oil, whatever it happens to be. So you need to have the right clearance between the pin, between whatever you have and this component, so the grease can get in there. It rides on the film of grease. Guys that build engines know this. If you've been around automotive stuff, you've built engines, you know this. You think of a crank bearing, a rod bearing, anything like that. That crankshaft technically doesn't touch the bearings. The rod bearings technically don't, or the connecting rod doesn't technically touch the crankshaft. It rides on a film of oil. If it starts to ride on the crankshaft at all, or on the main bearings, somebody's going to be knocking on your door, and it's cylinder number 7. So that's what's going to be going on. It's going to be number 7 rod is what's knocking there. And it's going to cause you an awful lot of havoc. It's the same thing for equipment, guys. So like when we do something like this, I'll grab this. So we have the hardened bushing in there. If we come over here, there is another step to doing this. That is very critical and incredibly important, which again, not many companies do. What do I got there? No, that's the bottom of the log clamp. So we're looking at this. This is our Evo firewood processor. There's your grease fitting for it. That bushing, that part is right there. The other part right here, that pin, You can see that pin is bolted in there. That pin cannot spin in there. Because if that pin can spin in there, then you need to have the same components here and here, which we do not. These cylinders don't come like that. What we have is we have that pin bolted in there so it can't roll around in here. Because again, there's machines out there, a lot of processors, a lot of splitters that are built like that the stuff can just roll around in there, and it's just gonna wear out before it should, guys. So that's it, that's all. And if you're paying good money for a piece of equipment, you want it to last. So what about where we don't have grease fittings? Because if you've watched our channel, if you've watched a lot of splitters, there's some places we don't have grease fittings. So the one instance for that is right here. That there is a Nylatron bushing. It is a plastic bushing, you can hear that. And then that is a pin. So that bushing goes over top of that pin, like that. Why do we use Nylatron? Nylatron is a material that is like an oil impregnated. It's a lot like a brass. It's very lightweight. It's very easy to machine. It's very easy to get your hands on. It's a very simple material, but it's incredibly effective in what it does. Like it lasts a long time. We don't run too many issues with these. But what you'll find is on our splitters, that's what we run. And that way you don't need to worry about the grease. So right here, there's that same pin on that side. There's a aluminum washer, like that. Holds that in, and that actually rotates on here. So you can see the pin is welded. It's welded. So the pin can't move, it rotates around the pin on that Nylatron bushing. There's another example of it. There's another example of it, pin's bolted in. Another example of it, pin's bolted in. Same as on the bottom. So you know that none of that stuff is gonna wear out, and if it does happen to wear out, it's incredibly easy to change and it's very inexpensive. It doesn't cost a lot of money compared to if you had to take it to a machine shop, get it bored out, get a machine true again, get it straight. It doesn't cost a lot of money. So the machine, in terms of longevity, one, it's gonna last a long time. Two, when it does wear out, it's easy to fix. Now the other major component on a wood splitter is the pusher. That is the pusher component of this is the critical part of this. This is the part that does all the work, right? So on our splitters, we have a rod. Let me see if I can see that. The rod goes into a hub, so there's no play in that. That is a tight fit in there. There's a little bit of play back and forth. I'll see if I can shake this to allow enough clearance for grease to get around that. And then what we have is you have a wear component at the bottom, which is phenolic. You have a wear component at the top, which is phenolic. We've had great luck with this stuff. We've run this stuff for years with tremendous success. And then on the side of it, we have a big chunk of brass. So the brass, you can actually flip around. If it starts to wear out, you flip it around to wear the other side of it. Holes are centered. The phenolic, easy to replace, easy to get your hands on if you had to do it yourself. Very easy stuff to work with, easy to machine. You don't need big tools for it. Again, very simple, so down the road, if you had to fix this thing, it's very, very easy to do so. Well, some of your splitters don't have wear components. Well, you know what, you're right. If you've watched other popular channels, you've seen this pointed out before, that we don't have wear components. The good news is, there's a couple thousand videos of a machine that has a lot of hours on it, in which you can watch this and it still functions very well. This is our Ultra. Our Ultra, our Axis, our MS324 are all built off this same chassis. And the reason we don't need wear components here is because this is a rigid system. So cylinder is bolted in here. It is bolted through the hub here into the pusher. There is almost zero play in that one. That is a straight shot all the way down to the end of it. It is straight, it is square, it is parallel. There is just a little wee bit of clearance on the top, a little wee bit of clearance on the bottom for grease to get in there. And that's how that works. So they take an incredibly long time to wear out. We recommend greasing them. Grease isn't expensive. It's a pretty simple thing to have around. And again, guys, this is from experience doing this. Like if you don't have that bolted on there, if you don't have that going into a proper hub in there, you're going to get a lot of play in here, and it's going to wear the beam out prematurely. And if there's nothing there for it to wear on, then it's going to wear the beam out. You don't want the beam to wear out. You don't want the pusher to wear out. And that's why you have the wear components. And I hate like hell to pick on these guys. I'm not going to tell you what machine this is, but I'm sure you can probably guess. Hasn't got a whole lot of hours on it. It's in rough shape, but I'll just show you. And this, you can see this on a brand new machine. I've seen this on a video from a fella the other day. You can see how much slop is in that and how much wear is there already. That's just shaking that a little wee bit, and there's nothing that you can do to replace that that's going to keep it from wearing more than that. That is the whole point of the story here, guys. And most, like I said, a lot of firewood equipment, like this is uncommon in this industry for machines to be built like this. It's very common for machines to be built like this. And I don't want to build machines like that, guys. I want to build these machines that are going to be serviceable, that are going to last, that in 5, 10, 15 years down the road, 20, 40 years down the road, you're going to be able to service them. You're going to be able to run them. They're going to be simple. They're going to work well for you. So that's what we try to do here, guys. And we just try to do those extra little things to make the machines last for you, so they will continue to serve you well down the road, and they'll hold their value. That's the other thing with the two guys. I want the machines to be able to hold their value. So in the event that you do want to sell one, want to get rid of one, it hasn't cost a lot of money. You're going to be able to sell it for a lot of instances what you paid for it, or a little bit less. And it's a good investment for you. And then you're not just throwing money away like a boat or a car or a new pickup truck or whatever. It's something that's going to be a good investment for you. You're going to get a good return on your investment. Anyways, guys, that's what I've got for you today. Give the video a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button down on the bottom. I really hope you liked the video. Like I said, I just want to show you why we do things, why they're set up the way they're set up. Yeah. Anyways, thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button. See you on the next one, guys.